Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Astro Consciousness YouTube channel. I am Millie, and I am here to give you your weekly forecast of March 11th through the 17th. We begin this beautiful week supported by the inspiring, soft, spiritual, dreamy energy of the new moon in Pisces. With that said, it is also my pleasure and honor to share with you that the Substack subscription is up and running. So for those of you who are in my email list or who follow me on Instagram, you already have links to that. You can go and check your horoscopes for Sun, Moon, Ascendant. And the first theme, the first event that I really focused on with these horoscopes is the new moon in Pisces. And here's why. This new moon in Pisces has great potential. And the reason for that is that it ends with a full moon eclipse in Pisces on September 17th. This is so important because we are being invited to really dream a big dream, to really believe ourselves possible to saying, I can attain that. I can be that which I envision. Pisces is the energy and its highest expression that understands the light and perhaps the divinity that exists within all of us. And when we focus on that, when we understand the light that we carry within and lead our lives from that space, with enough intention and enough practice, we become aware that there isn't much that is impossible for us. Now, what I really love about the dreaminess and the potential of energetic opening with this new moon is that it's very much grounded by the Taurus energy that is supported. We have Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus that is saying you get to grow, you get to expand, Jupiter, but you have to be willing to come out of a box, whether it's certain belief systems, things that you tell yourself, the way that you have been conditioned. You have to be willing to come out of that box in order for you to plant the seed and see the beginning of the harvesting of the seed later on in the year, especially the last 3 months of 2024. So while there is an element of anything is possible with Pisces energy, there's also an element of groundedness with the Taurus energy. There's also an element of, okay, it takes steps, one thing at a time, slowly and steadily. Because one of the things that is so important with this energy, with the opening of this new moon, is understanding how new we actually are at this, okay? The week ahead is also leading us to a Sun-Neptune conjunction in the sign of Pisces. And throughout the week, throughout the days of the week, I'm going to be talking about what this means. Overall, a Sun-Neptune conjunction is the dissolution of a part of the ego. And there are parts of our ego that are really stuck in telling us that is not possible for you, that dream is too big for you, you can't live your life that way, you can't switch your career, you can't find love. All of these things that are very limiting are a part of our ego that it's not necessarily our job to condemn, but it is our responsibility to become aware of it so that we can truly get to the root of what that part of us is needing. So let's get started. Monday, March 11th, Venus, the planet of relationships, relationship to the self, love, balance, aesthetic, sense of self-worth, leaves the sign of Aquarius and moves into the sign of Pisces. This is really beautiful because we are going to have this energy from March 11th to April 4th. Venus in Pisces is beautiful energy for dreaminess, creativity. It's great energy for romance, to set the intention to be softer and kinder with the self. And mind you, this is happening a day after the opening of the new moon in Pisces. What this tells me is that so much of the energy of the new moon in Pisces has to do with us creating a much more kind and graceful relationship with ourselves and with our life. Venus in Pisces is known to be what is called an exaltation. And all that means is that the energy of Venus in itself, the essence of Venus, is very comfortable in the energy and essence of Pisces energy. To me, this is an amazing opportunity and an amazing period of time to cultivate a relationship to spirituality, a relationship to spirit, to God, to the universe, to your guides, to your ancestors, to your angels, to your soul family. All of these energies that are beyond us, that are beyond what our human eye can see. Venus in Pisces comes and asks us, how are you going to let this into your life? And when you do, can you trust it to be as real as anything else that you see in your surroundings? Now, it's important to remember that Jupiter, the planet of expansion, growth, travel, abundance, is in the sign of Taurus, okay? So Jupiter is actually one of the co-rulers of the sign of Pisces, where Venus is. Venus, which rules Taurus, where Jupiter is in the sign of Pisces. These two energies coming together, Venus and Jupiter, are beautiful because they're in each other's signs. And this is what we call in astrology a mutual reception. Each planet is in each other's homes. It's like they've swapped homes for, I don't know, for a couple of weeks. And they're getting in touch with each other. They're calling each other on the phone and saying, how's everything going over there? Do you need anything? Jupiter and Venus in the zodiac is kind of like bestie type of energy. So these two energies are going to be working together in our favor, especially with Venus and Pisces over the next couple of weeks, in order for us to really set intentions, plant seeds, and do it from a different place within us. I think one of the biggest lessons that can come from Venus transiting Pisces is the understanding that the way that we used to move towards our goals, our aspirations, cannot be in the lower masculine expression, which can be very harsh, very judgmental. It's the ends justify the means. I'm in it for myself. Venus in Pisces is the introduction of what happens if you focus on your relationship to your soul. What happens if you focus on the relationship to spirit and let that be what guides you step by step? And the mutual reception to Jupiter and Taurus is saying you will grow, you will expand, you will feel abundant, Jupiter, as you come back to the groundedness of your soul. This energy is incredible when it comes to spiritual practice, because what we are being invited to really pay attention right now as to how our connection to spirit really translate to our physical reality. Tuesday, March 12th, we have the moon transiting the sign of Aries. One of the first things that the moon in Aries is going to do is that it's going to create a sextile with Pluto in Aquarius. Okay, the moon is new. We're setting intentions, we're feeling excited. I think that this Pisces energy is feeling quite palpable for a lot of people in a lot of ways. I think that it's manifesting itself physically, perhaps through tiredness, because we're receiving a lot of downloads. I think it's also for anyone who's a creative, an artist, you're really feeling the sense of inspiration. For anyone who doesn't really work in a creative modality, don't forget that you are the creator of your life. We are all creators in our own way. And so you might be thinking about planning, really honoring a desire of a vision that you've had for a long time, but that for whatever reason, you just haven't been able to get to, haven't had the resources to really implement an action plan, or simply just haven't believed in it enough for yourself. The moon transiting the sign of Aries, creating a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius, to me feels like an emotional boom of like, no, I can do this. Aries in the zodiac represents having courage. So in order for us to exercise courage in this human world, there have to be things that create contrast. And Otherwise, there's no way to practice courage. So to me, this feels like I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do the research and going to ask around, and I'm going to get myself as grounded and situated as possible in order for me to actually move through with this. The moon in Aries sextiling Pluto in Aquarius is having the courage to even have the vision to begin with. This week to me and the following weeks to come really feel like finally something flowing, finally something moving forward, especially have been experiences of feeling stuck either for weeks, months, or maybe a few years. And here's why. Remember, I mentioned how what this week is really leading us up to is the conjunction of Neptune and Pisces to the Sun in Pisces. Just to give you a larger context of why Neptune plays such an immense role in our lives over the next 2 years. Neptune has been in the sign of Pisces for several years, and it is ending its transit through the sign of Pisces over the next 2 years. Neptune is going to truly enter the sign of Aries in 2026. This year, Neptune gets up to 29 degrees of Pisces. On the one hand, very practical interpretations of Neptune in Pisces are metaphorical and literal deaths, the ending of a lot of things, the ending of careers, the ending of relationships, the ending of a chapter in our lives in a certain place. Neptune in Pisces this year in particular comes with a lot of endings. We're closing that chapter. So the dissolution of the ego comes with when we no longer live in a place, when we are no longer in relationship to someone, in relationship to a career. That part of our ego dissolves in order for something to be born, in order for something to come through. Why does this matter now? Because the moon transiting the sign of Aries is the excitement that comes with actually believing that something can come to fruition for you in the long run, while having a very clear understanding that something significant or that has been significant in your life needs to end first. Wednesday, March 13th and Thursday, March 14th, we have the moon transiting the sign of Taurus. So one of the dissolutions of ego, again, because this week is really all about that, what needs to dissolve in order for us to really transcend onto the next chapter of not just our lives, but we have to remember that this is actually happening collectively. That is the martyr complex. The moon transiting the sign of Taurus, those 2 days. I love a good moon in Taurus. It's sturdy, it's realistic in that it is able to look at a situation exactly for what it is and truly be honest about taking responsibility with how to approach it. It is a very tender, loving, giving moon, but that earth energy of Taurus in its highest expression, it's also about why don't we just deal with what's at hand in order for us to not be enslaved by it, in order for us to actually not be stuck in a box with it in the long run. So as we think of the dissolution of ego, a part of our ego that we are leaving behind, especially because we have the South Node transiting the sign of Libra. Now, I know that I haven't talked much about this, but believe me, over the next couple of weeks, it's probably not all I'm going to be talking about, but I'm going to talk about it a lot because eclipses are coming. And so this is preparing us for that. The moon transiting the sign of Taurus is allowing us to become aware if we carry a little bit of that martyr complex and really being gentle with moving forward with healing it. It's about admitting that when we are in that state, it's not so much that we are a victim, but how much are we manipulating others from that space, right? So if I'm always the one that's there for everybody, then they will love me unconditionally. It's about understanding that when we do that, what we are seeking is a connection or a sense of unconditional love that isn't really unconditional because we are the ones setting the conditions to begin with. And that clear dose of reality that might be unfolding within us and in our relationships, we get to look at that. And we get to go from that space of the potential martyr complex to really saying to ourselves, I'm tired of playing small so that other people can have everything they want from me. But we have to understand that that has to come with self-responsibility and self-acceptance. Friday, March 15th and Saturday, March 16th. We have then the moon transiting the sign of Gemini. And one of the first things that the moon in Gemini is going to do is that it's going to create a trine, a harmonious aspect to Pluto in Aquarius. On the one hand, this is a lovely weekend, lovely couple of days for creativity, brainstorming, meeting with friends, meeting with people who have the same ideas as you, who are looking towards the future in the same way that you are. This is about community, friendships. It's just really inviting energy to have interesting conversations, attend certain talks, symposiums. It's a great energy to learn something new. So much of this week is taken up by a lot of ethereal, intuitive type of energy. And you will probably notice people, even though we have the moon transiting different signs, people probably just a little bit more quiet, a little bit more in their heads. Let it happen. Because again, collectively, what we're experiencing is we are really shifting onto another phase of being human in this world. And it happens slowly, it happens beneath the surface. But how do we live our very human lives in a very practical way? Well, this is why I mention things like meeting with friends and brainstorming and all of the things. Okay. But because again, we are headed towards that Sun-Neptune conjunction and we want to be aware of that throughout the week. What is dissolving within me? What belief systems am I questioning? What is it that keeps me small that that I really want to leave behind, right? The moon in Gemini, on the one hand, makes you very curious to kind of try and figure that out. Because there is a very natural desire to understand what's happening within at a different level. And by a different level, I mean from just the rational cognitive thought to the intuitive soulful space. Remember, last week and last week's forecast, I mentioned being open to different modalities of healing, right? So that doesn't just stop week from week. I think this is very much active throughout Pisces season. And this week is one of those weeks. So with the moon transiting the sign of Gemini, remaining open-minded and curious is very appropriate energy for what we're experiencing. On the other hand, you want to be mindful of egoic delusions of grandeur. I think that Gemini, being a sign that loves to communicate, when it meets the energies of Pisces, it can either dilute the truth a little bit or omit certain things or add certain things. This is an overall energy. So if this isn't you exercising this or practicing this, perhaps this is what you're receiving from others. This isn't to say that you should just go out into the world and be afraid that people are going to be either lying to you or deceiving you. Just understand that when we are going through a time that is dissolving the ego as we know it, our human is trying to hold on to things that explain what feels inexplicable. Okay, so that Gemini Aquarius energy, great for socializing, again, brainstorming, all of those things, connection. The Gemini Pisces energy can be a little elusive. And it's not necessarily coming from an ill place within someone. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we are all in some way, shape, or form trying to explain what is happening within us. And finally, we get to the highlight day of the week, Sunday, March 17th, a Sun-Neptune conjunction. Okay, so first, the practical interpretations of this and how to best take advantage of this energy. It is a great day for doing anything that has to do with meditation, sound bath, yoga. I can see like yoga at the beach or near a body of water. If not, just yoga in general. I personally YouTube Pisces yoga, and something came up, something really lovely came up. So there are amazing yoga instructors out there who are creating content around the astrological climate. So if that is what you can do for yourself, I highly, highly recommend it. This is a beautiful day. As much as we are in the energy of newness and setting intentions, the Sun-Neptune conjunction, remember, invites us to understand what first needs to be released in order for that vision to actually take place. So this is a beautiful day to practice rituals around letting go. So this can be cord cutting rituals. This can be writing out what you would like to finally let go of. Anger, resentment, anything that you've been holding on to for a long time. Perhaps your intention is that you want to be more confident when you speak and you want to be able to do it feeling comfortable in your body. What impedes you from doing that? And writing it down and creating some sort of altar with candle, incense, some, music in the background, and really making this an intentional time for you to connect again with spirit and write out what you want to release and then burning that. Obviously, do it carefully, be mindful of what's around you. Another great ritual to have, especially because this is a saturation of water energy, is to either take a bath with, with salt, with either like sea salt or Epsom salt, because salt cleanses. Sun-Neptune conjunction, what is dissolving, what wants to be cleansed essentially from your life. If you can't take a bath, taking a shower, you could scrub downward with salt as you are connecting with the energy of the cleansing of that salt and saying, I release this from my life. I am at peace with no longer holding this. Salt in esoteric practices is an incredible cleanser. It's accessible to all of us. Don't worry so much about the cost of the salt or anything like that. Really, anything you have in your pantry will work. The way that I see a Sun-Neptune conjunction, and this isn't just coming from things that I read in books, this is truly coming from my own personal experience, what I have been experiencing thus far this year, and what I have observed in my clients. It is not just the understanding, but the acceptance of the divine light that we carry within. And here's what I mean by that. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We will always have to, for as long as we are alive in this realm, we will have to live a human life. And human life comes with disappointments, it comes with endings, it comes with deaths, it comes with a lot of things that for some reason, not for some reason, because they hurt, we try to avoid at all costs. It's understandable. But here's what I'm noticing, the collective shift going, or at least that's my hope. This Sun-Neptune conjunction is the dissolving of the part of the ego that thinks that we cannot live this human world that can sometimes be painful without the divinity of our light. When essentially what we came here to do is to create a life where both coexist, because both are necessary in the evolution of our soul. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It is in one of its home signs, which is Neptune. It is going to reach, as I mentioned before, the 29th degree of not just Pisces, but of the zodiac this year. There are significant endings that need to take place in order for us to recognize the light that exists within us. And I think that this is a way of spirit or the cosmos saying, what is it going to take? What is it going to take for you to realize just how unconditionally loved and divinely guided you are? And sometimes our human needs to experience certain things in order to get to that point. Now, this isn't to scare you or to prepare you for the worst, because this doesn't mean that you're going to experience travesty. But I do invite you to look at what's happening around the world and understand that that's not just happening in certain parts of the world to certain people. It's happening to all of us. It's happening for all of us. Pisces in the zodiac, being the last sign of the zodiac, is the question of how did your spirit evolve with the experience of the previous 11 signs? So when we take that into the context of the human life, is how has your spirit evolved with the experience of your entire life and with what you're seeing happening around the world? I am all for growth, expansion, taking risks. I will be the one that tells you, do it, go for it. I will always be that person. But what is really coming through right now is just how much our connection to spirit and to our soul is absolutely necessary as we move forward. So, however that lands on you, however that feels to you, may it be of service. And may this message complement the horoscopes for your sun, moon, ascendant on Substack. So much love to you all. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you next week.